Hey everyone, hope you're doing well and staying safe. In this tutorial we're going to be going over the home screen and creating it so when the user first logs onto our app they will be welcomed with their name and then an inspirational quote. But to get started I need to first open my project, so I'm going to do that now. And as you can see, before we implemented the new use memo and reducer and context, so whenever you log in it will redirect you to the home tabs immediately if you're logged in. Otherwise it'll take you to the authentication stack. But now that we have this taken care of, next what we want to do is implement the home screen. But before I do that, I'm actually going to initiate the emulator. So first I need to change directory to my project folder, so I'll say cd my workout app2 because that's the name of my project. Do ls, shows I'm in the same directory as this. Then I'm going to say react-native run-android and begin the emulator. So as you can see, we have our splash screen. It goes for 3 seconds. It's opened up the user database and it's running this, and now it takes us to home because in our previous video when we implemented the use reducer memo in auth context, it stored that we were logged on and therefore took us straight to our home screen. So now that we have this taken care of, the emulator is running properly. What we next want to do is go to our home.js file, and we're going to begin manipulating this to be like an actual home screen, like a welcome screen. So to start off, I'm going to come up here to where it says import React, and I'm going to add some more things to import. So we're going to say use state because we're going to have some variables to store the quote of the day. We're going to say use effect because we want to have the application load the quote of the day one time using the use effect variable. Now for the React Native, what we want in addition to the text and style sheet is to import the view, because I want to store these in different sections for styling. Then I'm going to create a flat list to store the quotes in background into a singular render. And then I'm going to import image background because the quote of the day that we're going to be using has a background as well. So that is all that we need to do for this. And then I want to also take from async storage the user's first name and user's last name. So I'm going to say import async storage from, and then it's going to be at React Native async storage. So now that this is done, it's not. You can save that. It's not going to change anything other than redo the splash screen. So now what I'm going to do is create the variables that we're going to be using. So because as I said before, I'm going to create use a quote. So I'm going to say let, then open close braces, quote, set quote equal use state, and then in here instead of a string I'm going to put an array because the quote has the text, the author, then the background image, and so I need to store all of that into an array to access that information. Then I'm going to say let first name set first name equal to use state, and then this is just going to be a string because it's just the string command. Then I'm going to press Alt Shift and then press the down arrow key. It's going to copy this code, and then I'm going to change this from first name to last name. So I'll say last name set last name, and it's going to be the same thing, just a string variable. Now for this, what I'm going to do is implement the use effect so I can fetch the data. So say use effect, then it's be open closed parentheses, and then it's going to turn to an arrow function. And for this, I'm going to say fetch. Then in here, before I continue, actually let me go to the website that we're going to be fetching these quotes from. So if we open up your browser, go to quotes.rest. This takes you to the quotes API, so they give you a quote of the day, and you can choose from various categories, which are free, some you have to pay for. But I'm just going to use the first one, it's get, and it's /QOD, which is quote of the day. And then in here they have the various code that you can see an example of. So this is the value response, and then if you click check it out and execute, it'll give you the entire thing. So it says inspire, the permalink is this, the background is that, then it'll say title, and then this is just all the data which comes with the instantiation of the API. But to actually use the API, you have to authenticate it. So on the right hand corner here, there's this lock button, this lock unlock button. So you just click on this, and you just type in a value here. So you can choose whatever value you want. For me, I'm just going to say my workout app 2. I don't really think it matters all too much. So now that it's logged in, I can use my value to access the API. So that's the API that we're going to be using for the quote of the day. So now back in my Visual Studio Code, and in my fetch, I'm going to get the quote of the day. Because I speak English and because English is my native language, I'm going to get the English version of this, but they do support other languages. But anyways, so the link to get it, they had it on the website, but I have it saved too, so it's https:// then it's just quotes.rest /QOD, then it's question mark. Because my language is English, I'm going to say language is equal to EN, but it can also be FR for French, GR for Germany, so on and so forth. Whatever your language is, you can have it set that way. Then in here, I'm going to have a method. I have to post the method, right? So my method is get, and then my headers are going to be, and then on the inside it's going to say accept, and then it's an application /JSON, and then you have the content -type, and this is application /JSON, and they have the code to get it. So then you have to insert your secret value. So it's going to be x dash they said so dash API dash secret. And then you just have to insert your code here, which in my case it's just this thing. So then after this is done, I want to get the response, so I'll say .then. So after this close parentheses right here, I'm going to say .then, and here I'm going to get a response. Not that response, this lowercase response. And then it's going to take that and store it as a JSON, so I'm going to say response.json. And then after this, 1 second. And I'm going to say .then, After I get that, I'm going to take the JSON, and then I'm going to say have this be set to my quote. So say set quote. In here, I'm going to say JSON dot, and then I'm going to say contents dot quote. Set quote JSON dot contents dot quotes. And then after this, I'm going to say dot catch. So in case there, for every reason, it doesn't work, I'll say error, arrow function, and then I'm going to console.log the error. And then that is it for the use effect. So if I then come outside of this and I say console.log, then say quote, plural. That was my mistake. So then I'm going to try this again. There you go. So as you can see, it's console logging multiple times. Okay, so I am going to now take this out because I know that it works. So then after this, what I'm going to do is now retrieve the data from my async storage. So I want to get my first name and my last name. To do that, I have to create an async function. So I'm going to say const get async data. You can call this whatever you want, but I like to try and stay consistent with what the function does. So anyways, I'm going to say const async data, get async data is equal to async, open close parentheses, arrow function. Inside here, I'm going to say try, because with async you have to use a try catch block. So I'm going to say try async.storage, async storage.get item, and then I'm going to get my try to get my first name. So I'm going to say user first name, and then I'm going to pass in the function with errors and or result. So I'm going to say if there are no errors, say if, and if the result does not equal null, then let me put a space. I'm a bit of a, so I'm going to say if result does not equal null, I'm going to say console.log, and then it's going to be user first name plus result. So this is just going to say basically the first name was retrieved. So first name retrieved. And then from here, I'm going to put a dot then. And in this dot then, I'm going to pass in the variable first name. And I'm going to set that equal to set first name. And then you have to pass in the same variable. So it's this variable right here, first name, that you pass in. And that is it for the first name. Now all you do is take this code and do it for the last name. So I'm going to say async storage dot get item, and this time it's going to be user last name. I'm going to pass in a function like before too. So function errors, comma, result. So in here I'm going to say if there are no errors, and say if the result does not equal null, say console.log, and say user last name plus results. And then, just like before, it's going to say, I'm going to comment and say last name retrieved. And so after this close parentheses, after it is successfully retrieved, if it can be retrieved, I'm going to say .then, and this time I'm going to pass in the variable last name, and then I'm going to set last name to the variable passed in so that I can have it for my project. Now, if that works, that's super cool, but because it's a try-catch block, we have to put in a catch here. So if there are any errors, let's say catch error, and then inside of here, I'm going to put a console.log, and then the error, which was, I don't know why it wants to do that, the error which was passed in. So now that we have our function here, and we can attempt to get the first and last name, but we need to first instantiate the function. So I'm going to take this function, and inside of my use effect, so whenever someone loads the home screen for the first time, I'm going to call this function so that we can store the data. So for that, I'm just going to put, after this last semicolon, get async data. So the function is now called within my use effect. And after the use effect, it is also a good policy to add a comma after the last close brace and put in an empty array, because we're not passing anything in. It's just good practice to do. So now that we have the data passed in, we can now see here, do a console.log, and then you can do the, actually no, we can now retry the emulator, restart the emulator, and then in our node we'll be able to see if it's successful. So as you can see, the user first name, and then it's David, user last name is Grice. So it is retrieving the data successfully. If you want to make this a little bit more neat, you can add spaces, spaces here, and spaces here. See, so now you have David and Grace. So now that we have that taken care of, I want to now take that data and put it onto the home screen. So I'm going to come to my return statement, get rid of the text, and in here I'm going to pass in a view, and then inside of my view I'm going to have a flat list, and then inside of here I'm going to have my data is equal to my quote variable, because that holds all of the data that we need. Then I'm going to pass in a key extractor, and then I'm going to say is equal to, and open close braces, parentheses, and then another open close braces, because quote is what is passed in. And then I'm going to arrow function that as quote, and I'm going to render the item, and in here I'm going to simply pass item. Oh, that's why. Here, this needs to go here. I need to put in closed parentheses, and then inside of here, what I'm going to do is have a open close parentheses, and then I'm going to pass in a view. Inside this view, right here, I'm going to pass in a key, and then I'm going to make this key unique. So I'll say item.date, because date is a parameter of the quotes. If you go back to the quote website, just close this, it does give you a date right here, but it is actually, yeah, sorry, it's right here. the dates right here. So we have everything for that. So I'm just taking the data from my quotes and putting it into this. So the key is a date because you always need a unique key for anything inside a flat list. Then I'm going to pass in text in this first view. In this text, I'm just going to say welcome, and then I am going to have another text underneath that. Inside this text, I'm going to pass in first name space last name, and then I'm going to pass in another view underneath this. Inside this view, I'm going to have an image background because there is an image which is rendered with the quote. If you come back here to the website and look for background, this is the image that they give, and I think if we actually go to this website, it should show us. Yeah, so this is the image that they give you as the background, so I want to include this also with the React project. So in the image background, I'm going to have the source is equal to, and then because this is from the web, you say URI colon, and then it's going to be item.background because the background is given to us that's being passed in from the item. So we don't need to worry about that. And this is actually and then inside my image background, I'm going to pass the text of the main quote and then the author. So I'll say text, the key is equal to, and then I'm going to pass in the date, item.date, and then I'm going to close that off, and then I'm going to pass in here, to fix that, so I'm going to pass in here the item.quote, so I'm passing in the quote, and then I'm going to pass in the author next. So in here I'm going to say text, key is equal to item, and then then I'm going to pass in the author. So in here I'll say item.author. So that is that. There it is. That was my mistake. I accidentally put the render item right here, and I should have put it right here. So that was my bad. And then the parentheses because I want to return all this in the flat list. So now if we come here, it's going to refresh, do its thing, and then we'll see absolutely nothing because for the image background you need both the width and the height as a style. So now I'm going to set the the styling. So first I'm going to come to my styles, and in my styles I'm going to pass in the first variable called main view. Then in my main view I'm going to say justify content and have it centered because I want it to be centered. I'm going to say align items, also be center. I want to say the background color, and then for this it's going to be a greenish color, so I'll say $44564A, and then I'm going to have a height of 100%. Then just to see this render, I'm going to comment out the image background for now by highlighting the image background, pressing Control /. So this should render now. See, so it says welcome, then David Grice. So welcome, first name, last name. So in my home for the top view, this is going to be the main content. So I'm going to say style is equal to styles.mainView. So if I re-render this, now the text is center, and it's a green background, so it kind of offsets with the yellow. It's really nice. So then I'm going to have another variable for the welcome text. So I'm going to say welcome text. Inside of here, I'm going to have a margin top of 0 because I want to be right at the 0th pixel. I'm going to say font size is 70 because I want to make sure the person can see that they're welcome. And have the font weight of bold. Have a font family, and I'm going to use Arial because it's kind of a universal style. Then I'm going to have the text align be center. And then I'm going to have a width set of 100% because I want it to take up the entire width. And then I'm going to have the color be a kind of goldish orangish color, so I'll say # E1C281. And then I'm going to have a Z index be set to 1 because I want to have this be at the top. So then if I come up here to my welcome text right here, and then I'm just going to put this in. So I'll say style is equal to styles dot welcome text. So as you can see, it's kind of this goldish orangish color. It's right in the center of the screen. It says welcome, so it kind of catches your attention. Next, I'm going to make the variable for the user, so the first name, last name. So under here, I'll say welcome user. And the welcome user, I'm going to have a margin top of 0. The font size, I don't want it to be as bold because I want it to kind of blend in underneath the welcome, so I'll have the font size as 40. I'll have the font weight be bold because I want it to pop out to the user. I want to have the font family be Arial because it's kind of a universal font. I want to have the text align be center, the width be 100%. The color is going to be the same as the welcome, so it's going to be #E1C281, and this is hex, so it is case sensitive, keep that in mind. And then I want to have the Z index also be 1 because I want it to stick out. So if I come up here to my my user right here, so I'll say text, and then under here I'll put style is equal to styles.welcome user. Save that, refresh, and as you can see, it says welcome, and then it points your eye to the name right here. So that's pretty cool for this. And now I'm going to get to my so now I'm going to get to my image. So under here, I'm going to uncomment out the quote or the image background. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to pass in the style for that. So on here, I'm just going to simply say image holder as a variable, and my image holder is going to have a width of 100% and a height of 100%. So then if I go up to my view for the image, I'm going to pass this in as style is equal to styles.imageHolder. Refresh this. It probably still won't work because of the view. Yeah. So now we have to get to the image itself. So then under here, I'm going to put the variable main image. Say margin top is 30 because I want to give some space between the text. I'll say the width is 100%. The resize mode is going to be stretch. and then I'm going to align the items to be center. I'm going to put a comment there, comma there. Then for my main image, I'm going to come up here to where my background is. So I'm going to put in my image background style is equal to styles dot and then main image. Save this, and now the image should render on the screen. As you can see, it says stop complaining, start creating, and you have this right here. Yes, so you have that right there. Width and height 100%. The width is 100%. So now it's a tad bit small, as you can see. So let's try and it's a tad bit small. Let me see if I can add a height and if that changes anything. Say 100%. It didn't look like it did. Yeah. Okay. So I just need to come back to that, because we could probably add a padding. Put, I don't know, 30. Yeah. See, 30 to 100. But now it's just really weird. But anyways, we can come back to that after I get the text finished, mess around with it. So next I'm going to do the main quote. So let's say main quote. And here I'm going to put the margin top as 0, the font size as 30, the font family as Arial, the text align as center, and then I want to have the color of the text be white. So if I come up here to where I have my quote, so say style is equal to styles dot main quote. Save that, and see it actually fixed itself when I did the text. So see, it says stop complaining, start, and then I'm going to put right here under the main quote. Finally, it's going to be the main author. So I'm going to say main author, and here I'm going to have the margin top be 10, the font size be 18 because I want it to be a little bit smaller. The font family is going to be Arial. I'm going to have the font weight be bold. I'm going to do the text align center. And then I'm going to have the color be white. And because this is the author, I want to make sure that it is in front of the background image. So I'm going to say Z index is going to be 1. Save this, come back here, refresh. It's not going to do anything actually because I haven't put the main author in at the top. So I'll come up to my return statement, go to my author, under style is equal to styles dot main author. Save that. As you can see, that gives you the it gives you the background image, the quote, and then it gives you this. Now this really isn't exactly the most, I don't know, beautiful welcome homepage, obviously, but it's just kind of a basis to get started because you can add more space at the bottom if you want and style this how you want. But I thought this looked good for a welcome page. So that is all actually for the home page. You can close off your browser, and for the next video I am going to be going over the workout page. This is going to definitely take some time because we're going to have CRUD operations, so create, retrieve, update, delete, using SQLite databases, and then I'll work on the analysis after that, and then the profile page. So, but before we head out, I need to update this to my GitHub. So I'm going to close out my emulator. I'm going to close out of my node, make sure everything is closed. So now that everything is closed, I'm going to come down to where I have my Git stuff, and I'm going to update this. I'm going to say in my terminal, I'm going to put git add star, so it takes all the newly updated information. Then I'm going to say git commit -m. Then in this, I'm going to say add updated home screen. So once this is done, I'm just going to push it. So I'll say git push --set -u origin master. Oh, it's my mistake. I pressed T. Git -u origin master. So now if we go to our GitHub website and go to the project, if you go to the master, see how this was updated 39 seconds ago. Home stack, now this is our home page, and as you can see, we now have all the information updated. That was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and in the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.